Good evening, everyone. This is Pradeep, Ambassador of Change from GETI, the Global Education and Training Institute of Lucknow. We are the premier training institute for teachers and principals all over India, and we have many pre-service and in-service programs. For more information on this, please contact 740-840-1000. Right now, you are on our disruptive education platform, and on this platform, we have interacted with more than 1,200 educators from India and abroad. And this evening, we're very pleased to welcome Mrs. Manasi Mahapatra. She's a guest
Yes,
faculty at the Mangalore University in Mangalore, Karnataka. And her aim is to explore maths and through it to bring a meaningful difference in the lives of her students. She has an experience of 11 years and has done a BSc and an MSc in mathematics. She has also passed a UGC NET, the GATE, and the NET 2009. She has attended the Olympiad training for teachers and several such courses and workshops and several maths related training at the national level. She is a member of the Odisha Mathematical Society. She has also done two courses in computers. Welcome, ma'am, and she will be speaking to us today on a meaningful education. Over to you, ma'am. Welcome.
hello, good evening. I'm Miss Manasi Mahapatra, and I would love to speak to you on a meaningful education. Education. It is the process of teaching, training, and learning, especially in schools, colleges, institutions, or universities, to improve knowledge and develop skills. That is, for multifaceted growth. This involves both the student and the teacher. The teacher teaches and trains while a student learns, and its growth not just academically but in various ways. Proverbs says, let instruction and knowledge mean more to you than silver or the finest gold. Wisdom is worth much more than precious jewel or anything else you desire. So, is instruction, knowledge, and wisdom meaning more to us than money to make us do our work, or are we materialistic and do our jobs or teaching to cater to students? So, for students also, are they learning just because they want to have good jobs, or are they learning because they value instruction, knowledge, and wisdom? So, Proverbs is quite meaningful. So, when we learn, there are two environments basically. One is the mixed environment, and the other is the specialized environment. What is a mixed environment? In a mixed environment, students come across people from various backgrounds in the sense that this background may refer to different social groups in society. For example, in public funded government institutions in India, people from different classes, castes, social groups they are present on campus. This may be an example of a mixed environment. Another example of a mixed environment is when students of different abilities as to how they perform as students are present in a classroom. So that means there is no specialized teaching for the gifted, for the average, or for the weak. They are all together. And the teacher teaches or trains to a mixed group. So, what happens in a mixed environment? Here, students encounter peers from various strata of society. So, when they encounter students from various strata of society, what happens? If they listen to each other, they get to encounter various perspectives on life and issues from them and see a whole range of thinking that is different from each other. So, this paves the way to see the opportunities, and this paves the way for them and gives them opportunities to understand societal needs and challenges. So, these are great opportunities and they can be utilized for students to apply what they study based on the inputs and guidance they get from teachers, from books, from friends, to collaborate or work individually on the problems existing in society. However, if students stick to their own social groups and have feelings of superiority in their social group or feelings of inferiority in their social group, then there is there is only further alienation, and they tend to go apart from each other, and they cannot solve problems in society, and they cannot use what they are studying practically. So, however, this mixed environment can breed creativity for solving societal problems with proper inputs and guidance. This is the positive that we can bear in mind. Specialized environment is one when students from the same ability group, they are inside a class or in a school or inside the class in a small group. All the average students, they are together, all the weak students, they are together, or it may so happen it's a school only for gifted students. So specialized environment can also mean not just abilities, but it may be a private school just for the rich, where there is exposure to every extracurricular activity like horse riding, piano classes, and other things. Specialized environment can also mean that people are coming together in a particular school of their class group, of their caste group, or something like that. So, specialized environment um, can mean different things. However, this is mostly present in some developed countries when it comes to abilities. There are gifted schools where only gifted students are studying. There are performing arts schools where students talented in that area are there, and there are science schools as well. What happens in a specialized environment? Here, identification of talents, needs, and challenges takes place because there are people who have studied these students at length, and all the students there present there, they are from similar abilities or similar background. So there is research that has been done on them, and resource material has been developed based on their talents, needs, and challenges, as well as their peers are also of similar strength or background. So this is why instructors can reach out to them, help them through in a more specialized way, and student skills are more effectively utilized. There is infrastructure, there is structure, and guidance. Teachers and a school plays a wide role in encouraging them and taking them to heights. But what happens? Suppose it's a school meant for only the rich students. Then students, they don't get to feel the difficulties of the vulnerable sections of society. So they are shut out from aspects of life in society. So, specialized environment also may be shutting people out from viewing other people as persons. If they're only exposed to gifted students, it may so happen that if some of them happen to teach in regular schools, they may not be able to understand other students who are not like them, because all through their life they are only exposed to certain type of students. So though there is a great deal of advantage, there is also a great deal of danger, similar to a mixed environment. So now that we have seen what environments youngsters study in today, let us try to characterize the youngsters today. So, the youngsters today, they are exposed to constant stimulus. For example, if they're watching a movie or playing a video game, things are constantly happening. So, when things constantly happen, their mind gets wired accordingly. So, this results in low attention span. I visited a bookshop in Mangalore, but this may be true anywhere else in India. The bookstore owner told me that not many students or youngsters come visit his shop, unlike the olden days when they used to get sufficient books and sell out and there was good business. But now youngsters, they are hardly interested in study. When reading a book which is not your textbook, or reading books that are there in your syllabus but not exactly in the recommended list, so students get to enhance their thinking. However, if they are constantly exposed to stimulus and that results in low attention span, so they might miss out on engaging with activities, other activities that can contribute to their selves. And this also is a challenge for the teachers to make things more interesting to them. And also, there is peer pressure. They are highly influenced by what their friends say, think, and do, which may sometimes rob their reasoning ability, the ability to decide good and bad. Few times, peer pressure may be good. Students may motivate each other to study well, but often it may not be so good. They may motivate each other to bunk classes, to drink or smoke, get into substance abuse, or have pan, gutka, and other things, or even pornography, or other things like bad comics and all, and other things which may hamper their study life or their growth as persons, because they're not just there to score good marks, they are here studying to grow as people, as persons. So, peer pressure may be good, may be bad. And then we see that they oscillate from seriousness to being fickle minded, like a simple pendulum. So, it's a challenge for the teacher to cater to students with variable behavioral traits. Sometimes the same student can be very serious, sometimes the same student is fickle, and they themselves do not realize this. So, also, this is something that they need to think through for themselves, and teachers also need to be aware about this. So, in order to deal with them effectively. Also, they have a great deal of energy. So, if positively influenced, they can put themselves into something and do it, like working something out on their own, writing a program on their own, or doing a painting on their own, putting themselves into it. So, they have a great deal of energy which needs to be harnessed properly. Also, this energy may not be fully realized when they have temptations or distractions. So, youngsters they have many temptations and distractions which will get into their way of doing things effectively. So, these are what defines our youngsters today. And a section of these youngsters happens to be first generation learners. We specially see them in public funded government institutions. So these children, these students, they are like the golden child of their families. They are like the golden child of their families. In the family, people treat them very special because these youngsters they are going for they are going for higher education, something that no one has done before, and they are proud of them. However, when these group of students enters the higher education system, they may feel like a fish out of water. This is because there is no one to orient them to the walks of life in a university campus. Social interaction sometimes can be difficult. So, and also academic engagement. If in school and college, people have not been kind enough to point to them study techniques, how to study, having a study discipline, like doing classes regular, like doing preparing for classes beforehand every day, before stepping into a classroom, preparing for your exam to write it, and how to write, how to study. So it becomes difficult. If you look at middle class families, the parents they are after their children 24 cross 7. Like my child has not written this properly. My child has to do well in math. My child has to do well in English. In English, my child has not done all this. So parents are after the children all the time. When it comes to first generation learners, not only the system at home, but the school system was not conducive to them. Also, in general, there may be a few places that are exceptional or a few teachers who are exceptional, but in general, the school and college system has not been so designed to cater to them, like inculcating these study disciplines or providing the right kind of support. So, when out with friends, they are not comfortable with the goings on. And in terms of academic engagement, it's a struggle, like keeping the discipline to do things. And also, they may not always hang out with friends because of financial constraints. When other youngsters are hanging out and bonding, they may shy away from it. So, given these parameters, what they need is understanding teachers and friends. So, teachers and friends who are kind enough to walk the extra mile. And so, this will pave the way for them to be successful. Now, Many of these first generation learners, due to COVID, they are in trying circumstances. And also other students, they are going through different things in life due to the COVID situation. This COVID situation induces stress. There are financial difficulties, there is sickness in the family, there is death in immediate circles, all these things. And many of them, they have to write exams side by side. So when all these things are going on and they have to study, this is kind of traumatic for them. So many students in India, they are battling this COVID situation. Also there is casteism, racism, religious discrimination, or gender discrimination in India. So this leads to trauma while studying. Few are resilient, they beat the odds, they come out in flying colors in life. However, our system needs to be so designed to be supportive to students, to cultivate resilience. And also, the education system needs to inform the society to help them think through and make a peaceful atmosphere in the lives of students. Because if there is casteism, racism, religious discrimination, or gender discrimination, it can affect the mind and emotions of the student. And sometimes with trauma, it's hard to study. So, students will need help. So, the society needs to play a supportive role, and our education system can go a long way in turning out fine human beings, fine citizens of the country. So, now let us talk about a beautiful learning procedure. It is called as inquiry based learning. So, because now that we have seen how students battle with difficulties, how youngsters are, so now let us look at a study technique that can help transform. Inquiry based learning is a mind enriching process. Here, when students are exposed to definitions, they are asked questions. So, when a student answers questions, the student is not just studying the textbook, but thinking for himself or herself and bringing out matter. Based on the created matter and the definitions, further new questions are asked so that the student thinks or engages in collaborative learning. So either there is individual study or collaborative learning to develop further content. After this practice, students can look at standard textbooks. So this will be a very enriching process. Now that we have looked at all the challenges in society today, we need to adapt inquiry based learning. So here, inquiry based learning requires involvement of both teacher and student. It requires discipline in the student and creativity of the teacher to engage the classroom. So, given the struggles that people have due to society, due to living in society, and if we adapt this for them, then it can really enrich them no matter what goes on in society, they can grow academically and help out society tomorrow. So, creation of support. And because we are teaching students and students are valuable, we need to be concerned about them. We need to create a support system to make education equally accessible to all. This is the India that Rabindranath Tagore dreamed of. He desired it so that education system is not for a select few who can pay their way for quality learning. It is meant for all. And when people have, due to living in society, their own struggles and challenges, a system has to be designed so that students can advance in life, no matter where they come from. And also, the content needs to be relevant to daily life of students in a mixed environment. Because if students are living in mud houses and they are given examples and they have no access to electricity, roads, if they are given the examples of counting the number of cars, it will not make any sense to them. Rather, if they are given the example of sticks, stones, then they will learn to count or count the number of trees. So, otherwise, if they are engaged in farming in day to day life, if they take examples from that, from what they study and apply it there, if farming is a subject, then they can score well there. So, it will be relevant to their daily life. So, this will pave the way to a meaningful education. And let us look at the India that Rabindranath Tagore dreamed of. This poem is very powerful and very touching. This poem is by Rabindranath Tagore. It has been translated from Bengali to English, titled Where the Mind is Without Fear. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms toward perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. So, here we see Rabindranath Tagore writing of a beautiful India. India was under British Raj. So, he did not want the social, political, and economic ills of the society. But the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Is that true of India today? Or are we still far away from realizing Rabindranath Tagore's dream? So, where we are fearless and bold and knowledge is free, it's not meant for special privileged people, it's meant for all. Where words come from the depth of truth and people are tirelessly, untiringly striving, putting efforts toward perfection. So, where reasoning is there and they are not broken up by prejudices, gender discrimination, casteism, racism, and all these prejudices. The world has not been broken up into fragments, and neither are there dead habits that make you go further down in life. However, the mind is led forward by the one maker of all humankind into ever widening thought and action. That is what I talked about earlier, problem solving in society and leading India ahead. Do we have this heavenly freedom? So, he's pleading with the Father to let this country awake. He's not talking about a narrow, aggressive nationalism, but of a patriotism that makes education accessible to all, that gives us a free world. May this beautiful poem remain with us and pave the way for a meaningful education in society. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the talk on a meaningful education and for the inspiration that you have provided through that talk and what it should mean for a nation, what that education should mean for a nation. So, good evening, everybody. And before I leave, I request you to watch our detox on disruptive literacy movement by Global Dream, which is an initiative of Dr. Sunita Gandhi since 2014. This is to ensure everyone's participation in helping India achieve total literacy by a people's movement. Let each one teach one, and those of us who can afford to teach more than one, we should be doing that to ensure foundational literacy and numeracy for all our brothers and sisters. We have several talks on this in the day, and for more information, please go to 740-840-1000. So thank you very much, ma'am, and good evening and goodbye, everybody. See you again tomorrow evening.
Thank you, sir.